Welcome back to Link by Golf. I'm your host Ross McGuire, and in this week's episode I'm delighted to be joined by Iain Colquhoun. Iain has been the Director of Golf at courses such as Dundonald Links and the prestigious Loch Lomond in Scotland. I really enjoyed catching up with Iain. He's got some great stories to tell. He's also got his own golf tour company, Lomond Golf Tours, and we talk about that in this show and hear about some of the great experiences he's putting together for his guests. Let's go over to the show. I'm delighted to be joined this week by a man that I've known for a long number of years, but we haven't seen each other for a while, which seems to be a theme of this podcast, but I'm enjoying catching up with everyone. Iain Colquhoun, thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
Roscoe, absolute pleasure and absolute delight to catch up with you, my good man, and been enjoying the various podcasts with many familiar faces over the last couple of weeks, which has been brilliant.
Brilliant, thank you. And to get this kicked off, Iain, you've heard some of the pods, so very simple starting point. Where are you from and how did you get into golf?
Where am I from? Renfrewshire boy. Grew up in small village of Houston. Golf course that I grew up at was Ranfilly Castle in Bridge of Weir, with a few other familiar names, and was there for a number of years, still am to this date, and played at Glasgow Golf Club and Crail as well. So very much where I started off in my career as a boy golfer was at Ranfilly Castle, striding the moors and learning off some old characters, that's for sure.
Brilliant. And what kind of age were you, Iain, when you got into Ranfurly and started playing a bit more yourself?
I was fortunate, Ross. My dad, keen golfer himself, regular golfer up at Ranfurly, was keen to get me involved from when I was 9. Like many boys and kids of that age, you had an enjoyment of football, and football and golf came together, and golf kind of took ownership from when I was about 10 and a half years old, and never looked back. Kind of grew up with a large crowd of juniors at Ranfurly under the stewardship of Tom Eckford as head pro, assistant Colin Monroe and Stuart Kerr at that time, and was able to grow up with the likes of Gregor Monroe and Graham Dawson, who were great players as juniors as well.
Yeah, and I got to feel the full force of Gregor playing a county match. He gave me my worst ever defeat in life, 7-6, and he was 13 and I was 21. I was like, cheers, wee man, that was fantastic. Thanks for that.
I know he's handed out a few of those over his time, but he's the big man's still enjoying his golf. To be fair, and we play on a regular basis, so very fortunate to still kick about with the same cronies that I grew up with in boys golf, and it's important, isn't it? We've all got people that we've enjoyed the journey with, and Gregor's very much one of them for myself.
Absolutely. And what kind of age, Iain, did you start to notice when you're playing with the guys at the club that you're maybe progressing faster than other people? So you joined at 9, but what sort of age did they get more serious, and did you see that development coming?
Probably my stubbornness and being super competitive, Roscoe. The first year was probably just getting a feel for golf and learning all about it and how to conduct yourself and what to do and what not to do. And that was they were very good at Ranfilly Castle with that, to be fair. But quite quickly we were brought into junior coaching. All of a sudden you're getting a handicap, and then probably when I was about 12 years old, started to see that I was average and half decent at the game, and seen others focus on getting their handicap down. So probably when I was 12 years old, it really started to take a bit of a steer for me and a focus of wanting to be as good as I possibly could at this game, and went from, again, a starting handicap, I think it was 32 was the first handicap I got, and gradually got down and focused about getting on to the senior tees and playing on a Saturday and all those bits and pieces, and then the focus was to try and get down to single figures. So when I was about 13, keep on 14, my dad said, if you get down to single figures, I'll buy you a new putter. So that was enough for me to just put full attention of every given day. I was focusing getting a brand new Ping Zing 2 putter, and within about a 5 or 6 week period, I got down to single figures, and Dad stuck to his word and bought me a Ping Zing putter, and that was it. County level started to acknowledge me from that, under 16s, and then national level under 16s, schoolboys, got recognised there, and never looked back, to be fair. I had a great junior time, and ultimately went on to represent my country, which is one of the proudest moments of my life of playing for Scotland, with some great names along the way as well.
Brilliant. And, what kind of events were you playing around that time, Iain, to get yourself recognised and basically get selected for Scotland? What kind of things were you playing on?
I think, like yourself, Ross, you play a lot of regional events, boys opens and 36 holers. You're playing with some senior amateurs, and the likes of Bartley Howard and Ronnie Clark and Craig Watson, Murdo Carmichael, Andy Farmer, guys that are around Renfrewshire, and then you start playing some of the district crossovers with Lanarkshire and Dumbartonshire and Glasgow Union, Stirling. And then all of a sudden you start playing in the Scottish Boys, which was such a massive event at the beginning of the year. May that be at Mercer or West Kilbride or one of my favourite venues, Dunbar. So that was really a take-off from playing regional events to playing national events. And even the Helensburgh Boys Open was such a big event where Elizabeth played in it a number of years ago, and people forget as to how big an event that was. And myself and Mark Risbridger, both doubles partners in the Scotland team, done quite well out of that event alone over a couple of years. Martin Laird was another one that would play there as well. And you play Scottish Boys, you play British Boys, you play stroke play, you then get low enough to start playing in the senior events. So if you do half decent, then you're going to get hopefully some recognition. And if you show potential to progress into the bigger levels of the Scottish International, then fantastic. And was able to do that with the quadrangulars and home internationals, which I absolutely loved. And again, some great playing partners, great individuals that joined me whilst I played.
Brilliant. And then you mentioned some really fantastic events there, and also Renfrewshire and those guys you were playing with. So you're playing with the county, you're playing in these events and having really good results. So what was the next stage for you to take it to the next level and get into like the Scottish youth team? What kind of things were you then doing as you got slightly older?
Again, playing a lot of the international events, or certainly national events in Scotland and UK, but also playing other merit events and travelling the country and playing the circuit and having some half decent scores and some average scores. And from there, you kind of generally progress into the kind of youth setup, with a focus towards the senior setup. Now, I was fortunate to play in the Schuberta Grand Prix out in Biarritz, 2 years running, 3-man youth team, which again has always been a bit of a stepping stone for us to progress to the higher levels. But it was great fun, playing with some really good players. Gregory Bourday, who's was on the tour for a number of years, Big Richard Finch, Alexander Norn, Francesco Monari, guys who are all, renowned names. What went wrong with me, I don't know, but certainly mixing it with some great players. From a Scotland perspective, you're growing up with the likes of Richie Ramsey and Martin Laird that are in your age group, and Jack Docherty, who again is still playing in regular tour levels. David Ingles, who's now out in Northwestern as a head coach in Chicago, did a renowned amateur career. And then you had the likes of Stevie Brown and Carnoustie and Stephen Buckley and Kevin Reid, and Mark Risbridge. Unfortunately, Ridge is no longer with us, but again, my old county mucker. And we had some great journeys together, that was for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of mixed in a little bit, Iain, and we'll probably jump back and forward a little bit here as we go forward. But you also took the step of going to college in the States. So, how did that come to you in terms of being aware of what you could do there? And then what college did you go to in the States eventually?
Well, for me, it's like anyone at that age, you're playing full-time golf. You think you're going to be the next European superstar and live the dream and, watch the likes of Andrew Coulthard and Sam Torrance and Monty, who were in their prime at that age, or Dean Robertson, who was an idol for me, being a Ramshire boy and, on the crux of getting the Ryder Cup team, but just an incredible golfer. So Dean actually went out to Texas, West Texas at Midland, where I think there's been circa about 60 odd Scottish golfers over the years. Many of them, those that you know, with Guy Dingwall and Big Lofty and Fraser McLaughlin, Graham Gordon, Lee Rind, Stevie Young, who eventually went on to play Buy.com. So yeah, we ended up going out to Midland. There was four of us within the junior setup. Big Lairdy went to Colorado. Ingies went to Tulsa, and Jack went to Augusta State, and I went to way out in the westbound of Texas at Midland, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. And again, it was the next stage of going out there, the whole thing of traveling to America and playing in a whole new setup really appealed to me, and wanted to go out there and experience as much as I possibly could, and certainly done that. Was there for a couple of years, then had the opportunity to transfer to Colorado and Oklahoma. Unfortunately, going from a full scholarship to going to a minimal scholarship changed the parameters a little bit, and it can cost quite a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
So that never materialised to progress thereafter, and I was actually offered a job with a guy called Lance Patterson, who was the director of golf at Midland Country Club, a renowned country club in West Texas, which I actually wished to take on. But at that time, when I went out there, September 11 happened, and the parameters of visas and other bits and pieces changed everything. So trying to actually get an active working visa was very, very hard, and things happened for a reason, and I had to turn that down. And once I came back home, I moved on to working at Loch Lomond and the Dundonald Links. Tried for my tour card for a few years and chased a dream, and enjoyed playing the Tartan Tour and Europro for a bit, and some regional events across the UK and into Europe. So it was great fun. I loved it. Done that for about 5-6 years, and then reality hit home that you need to start thinking about the future of chasing a dream of playing tour golf, and think about how you pay for your car and how you pay for a mortgage and how you put food on the table. So
Yeah.
and again, we
just
can
through
relate.
that period, Ian, who were some of the players that you were playing with at the same time who were also trying to get onto the European tour?
Well, again, I was very fortunate with the likes of Big Lairdy. Was obviously out in the States, stayed in the States after he graduated, and played satellite tours and chased a dream, and actually was coming to the end of that dream. But his sponsor said, "Here, crack on, one final go," and he got his tour card, and he's never looked back. Richie Ramsey, Mark Warren, Stephen O'Hara, Barry Hume, what an amateur career he had, and obviously turned pro.
Yeah.
So Big Lofty. So there's a number of players who were chasing their dream. David Ingles tried it for a few years, played in the European Tour, and I remember he was out in Switzerland and hitting balls beside Gusten and Ernels, and played a practice round with Oosthuizen, and all of a sudden he's hitting a 3-wood about 50-60 yards past his best drive. So completely different dynamics to playing amateur golf and stepping up to the top table. But guys like Jack Docherty, again, we all went for tour card around about the same time, albeit it was regional for me and didn't progress particularly further than that. But watching others that you grew up with trying to succeed and give support as much as you possibly could. But not just from the pro ranks, but also your fellow amateurs when you grew up.
Yeah.
There was a great camaraderie in the Scottish Tour circuit. Some great players, and I mentioned Bartley Howard, who is one of Scotland's finest amateur golfers. And again, he was
I mean, what a player Bartley was, and it's, I guess, 27 years this year since the Open when he finished as the best amateur.
Yeah, and I remember watching him with Big Ian McCosh in the bag, the sheriff. Unbelievable. I think Big Ian had more interest in the other players playing with him than Bartley, and Bartley had to keep him in tow. But anyway, it was a great partnership that they've grown up together through Cock and Castle and regional county golf and national golf. And I was very fortunate to have him as my captain when we went on to win the Scottish Area Team Championships with Remshire, with the likes of Matt Clark and Craig Watson, Murdoch Michael, Andy Farmer, Greg Monroe, and the big stalwart, Ronnie Clark. So for a small county, we had a no bad team, to be fair. So.
And Ronnie's still going strong. Was it the French seniors he just won the other week?
Aye, no, he's no change. He's still playing that soft fade under control. So no, I've got a chance to see Ronnie a while back, and he's doing well. He's also heavily involved with the seniors, with Big Rab Jenkinson, and yeah. So a lot of the boys that we kicked about with. So very competitive. Even me Brian Innes from Murcon up in Aberdeen, wee man's doing well as well. So yeah, great characters, great players. I mean, really good players. But if you look at some of the guys, Bartley Howard, Graham Rankin, Craig Watson, Simon McKenzie. Simon, what a golfer he was. Again, wasn't recognised at Walker Cup level when he should have been, to be in my personal opinion. But you had Wolsterholme. Nick Doherty was a boy that I grew up with and played boys golf with and competed against. And he was the kind of next big thing coming through the ranks, and ultimately went on to the European Tour and had great success and moved on to pastures new to have a successful career with Andrew Coulthard in the media sense. So we could relate back on various stories and experiences. You look at the young pups that were coming through. McIlroy, I remember watching him with Richie, Western Gales and Europeans, and Lowry was playing there as well. And look at what they've achieved now. So yeah, it's a great story where all of us, everyone you've spoke to and those that you speak to on a regular basis in golf, we can relate to many of the fine golfers that we've grown up with, but also just characters in the game that have stood us in good stead for who we are as individuals and what we've ultimately moved on to be in our life,
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on Dundonald as well, Loch Lomond, but just circling back there, Iain, so after college you turned pro. So did you go down the PGA route, or did you go down a different route and then get into Loch Lomond? What was that journey for you?
Well, it was actually quite funny because I'd came back from the States and obviously what's my next step? I wanted to kind of chase the dream of playing tour golf. And I was fortunate to be invited down to play at Dundonald Links and met Guy Redford, who's the director of golf down there at that time. And Guy's a close friend of mine, and ultimately was my mentor doing my PGA training. But Guy actually attended Midland as well with Dean Robertson.
Right,
about 10 years prior to myself, so it was quite ironic, the kind of connection. Anyway, like you're saying, what made you turn pro? And I was keen to get involved in the professional game in some way. I knew that my game, albeit was reasonable to get and make a full-time living out of it, was going to be a challenge to generate a regular income. So I wanted to give myself a bit of security with the PGA background. And I met with Guy at the time. I was working at Ranfilly Castle with Tom, and met with Guy, and we just clicked. And it was actually the following day I got a phone call saying, Ian, would you be interested to come in and meet with him and Colin Campbell, the director of golf at Loch Lomond, and ultimately that was it. They offered me a job of coming on board and being part of the golf operations team, and never looked back. I was with the club near on 16 years. So started off as a
Wow.
golf operations and done my PGA and still try to chase a dream of trying to make it as a player. Got through that with Birmingham University, and then became head assistant, pro, head pro, then director of golf, and to be director of golf and head professional at Loch Lomond Golf Club, where the Colquhoun family name's from, was again just quite a surreal moment to be at your home of your family name, the head pro director of golf, and I was there for, as I say, a number of years, and loved it, absolutely loved it. There was just
I mean, what
the
a place, Ian, and believe it or not, I've never actually been on the property at Loch Lomond. And at this point, I'm reflecting and thinking, why did I not phone you when you were there? But that's a
Roscoe,
different
I'm sure you
conversation.
got an invite and you never took it up, big man. So
yeah, I need to reflect on that. I think make sure my priorities are right going forward. But I
Aye.
mean, what a place! Can you just talk a little bit about
it's
what Loch Lomond is like as a place, first of all, and then the golf course itself?
okay, I mean, it's if you talk about golf dreamland, I mean, Loch Lomond is it. And I've been very, very fortunate to travel the world playing golf and experience some of the finest golfing venues around. And Loch Lomond is very hard to beat. Very hard to beat. Location wise, right on the Bonnie Banks, overlooking the waters to Balmaha, Ben Lomond, surrounding countryside, the mature oak trees that are on the estate, Rostow House, the Colquhoun family name, to the properties run about. It's just simply take your breath away from start to finish. And I think a lot of people relate to that wow factor, where you go and play the old course and you walk over the Swilcan Bridge and you play the road hole, and it is a wow factor. But once you've done it, you've done it. You play the Porsche Stamp at Troon, you play Valderrama, you experience other venues where there is a wow factor. Loch Lomond, each and every time, this blows your mind. There's multiple experiences, the staff, the friendliness, the members, the setting, the quality of product in the golf course, the details that goes into making that happen. It was a privilege to be involved in, and I'm very fortunate to get invited back as a guest now, and not as a staff member, and enjoy it in the lights of that. But being that as your office every day, you can't complain with that, to be honest.
And were you there, Ian, when the European Tour event, the Scottish Open, was still there? And I know it moved to Dundonald, so were you between
so I was
Loch Lomond and Dundonald at that time?
Down at Dundonald predominantly, whilst the Scottish Open was still at Loch Lomond, but we're still involved in it. And it was there's some incredible stories that I'm sure we could share at another time. But I mean, the level of golfer that was there, I don't think many people growing up through the 90s and early 2000s can't relate to the experience of going to the Scottish Open at Loch Lomond. It was just such a flagship event that everyone wanted to go and experience. The crowds were incredible, the settings were incredible, the calibre of golfer and show was incredible, and some of the finest memories I've had growing up was going to the Scottish Open with my dad and my mum, and experienced it firsthand, walking the fairways with big names, and then latterly seeing those that you grew up with, the likes of Scott Jamieson and Richie Ramsey and big gorgeous George Murray, and some of the others playing, wee Cal McCauley as well, to some of the amateurs, David Ingles. So yeah, it was great fun, and to go back, there's very few places in world golf that come close to it, and I'm delighted to say that that was my home for near on 16 years.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, why did I not go there? Anyway, well, I go over the devastation of that. So all good things come to an end, and another opportunity came up. So you moved on from Loch Lomond, and what was the next part of the journey for you?
Well, bit of a kind of left turn, to be fair, albeit being there for a substantial length of time. But you start thinking, what else is out there? You've got one of the top jobs in world golf, but like many things, you want to challenge yourself, and it's no disrespect to where I was at Dundonald and Loch Lomond at all. But I had been approached from others regards to going to the States, and another job within Europe, where I did look at it, but didn't feel it was right. Didn't have the burning sensation in the heart to commit to it. So it was actually a couple of members of mine at Loch Lomond, and it was just a kind of multitude of conversations that took place whereby they were looking for a general manager, and the more conversations took place, the more I had an interest towards it, and then put my name in the hat. So it was actually moving to work with heavy plant machinery, which we're going, right, big man, you've gone from the world of golf operations to dealing with heavy plant equipment. But I actually had a real interest in that. I'm a farmer's boy by trade, and been around heavy plant equipment and other bits and pieces growing up. So I've always had an enjoyment. I've been around big ticket items, and I think it's boys and their toys, isn't it? So anyway, long story short is I went for the interview, and Austin Carey, who was one of the four owners, was looking for a general manager for the whole of Scotland and north of England, and was told us to go and meet the chief exec, a guy called Adrian Murphy, 6'4", ex-rugby player from Bath, absolute man mountain. Now I'm not the smallest, but he absolutely shadowed me. Anyway, ultimately met with him and had an interview for a couple of hours, and he kind of went through me because obviously I wasn't industry background, and must have done something right, because I got invited to meet their recruitment agent from London, and went from what was our seven of us down to five, down to three, and had to do a presentation on the final three, and got the job, and had my resignation to move on to deal with crushers and screeners and processing equipment and the luxuries that offers. But again, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved the challenge. Great people in the business. There was a lot of scope to go in there and support what was already achieved and enhance the company. And I was there for just over a couple of years, and then COVID came along, and like many of us, we were a bit blasé that we were never going to be impacted by it. And then all of a sudden, it was on our doorstep, and decisions were made within the company to structure it in a way where it's seen a lot of the senior management moved on. But left in great terms, still very close with the owners and Austin personally, and still keep in touch with a lot of the staff that are there, and was out of work for a couple of weeks, thankfully, and returned with a task of growing a company and selling it on, a company called League Rooms, which we did, and then got to a point where I was sick and tired of growing companies and making money and for others, and said, how about I give it a go myself and start up my own consultancy business. And latterly, just, Ross, you know my nature, and always happy to help and support others. That's just who I am, and big friendly chap, and had some old teammates from Texas over, organised all their golf and accommodation, logistics and special activities and all the bits and pieces, and met with them in Edinburgh for a bite to eat before they were heading home. And the ultimate question was, Iain, why are you not doing this as a business? And me being me, said, no, just happy to help, and drove home that night, and it kept on pestering me that there might be something here, and it was that kind of penny drop moment. Now, two of my very close friends growing up, and one of my very close friends at the moment is doing something similar in the world of executive golf travel.
Right.
Ali Love and Graham Dawson that I mentioned earlier on, growing up, they're both based in St Andrews and doing very, very well, and offer a premium product to their clients. And I thought, you know what, this is something that I wish to pursue, and spoke to Ali and those around me, and spoke to my accountant Glenn, and said, here, I've got an idea. I think he was more excited than me, to be fair. But yeah, rolled it out, and with family support and a close friend of mine, a guy called Murray Sharp. Unfortunately, Murray's no longer with us, unfortunately, but Murray was a big influence in my support in junior days and pro, and kind of business consultancy as well. Murray owned a company called Cool Tech, and he was an absolute golf nut. I remember at Loch Lomond, Western Gales, Archerfield, Wentworth, the names just continue where he was a member. But Murray was a huge supporter of mine from my younger days, and spoke to him about the concept and the idea, and he goes, about bloody time, big man. And I've even recognised Murray in some of the things that I've got within my company now as well. So everything just aligned ideally for me, Ross, to be fair. And I think, like anything in life, you look forward with desire and hunger, and I've been able to implement Lomond Golf Tours Scotland, and very proud of it, and it's grown arms and legs, and we'll be able to share various experiences with those that I've got to know over a number of years, from over the pond to Canada to Europe to here in the UK. And it's nice waking up every morning looking forward to what you do with great excitement, but also crossing over with friends from yesteryear, and like yourself, the ability to catch up on various experiences that we grew up with. And Lomond Golf Tours is moving along nicely, and yeah, it's been a busy start to the year so far.
Yeah, and Iain, you're talking about the start of the year. You just finished a trip, and I don't know what the word is. I was amazed, jealous, just kind of thinking, I wish there'd been that trip. Do you want to just describe what that trip was?
So
in terms of the places and some of the activities you had with the people that came over.
So a friend of mine from Boston was keen to do a trip with me, with some friends, again from Nashville to Florida, with a group of mixed couples come over and do a 2-week tour of Scotland. And what we pride ourselves on is creating something that's quite unique and different, but ultimately focusing towards creating memories that will last a lifetime. And it's easy to showcase the golf and logistics and all the bits and pieces and get people to nice hotels, but there's so much more in Scotland to offer, from characters in the world of golf to the culture that's here, scenery, and various other experiences. So we've went from arriving in Edinburgh, spending 4 days in St Andrews and doing the Old Course and Kings Barnes and Crail and Panmure and surrounding venues, to travelling up, stopping off actually in Pitlochry and doing a wee bit off the beaten track, and taking from the difference of high-end renowned names to the hidden gem that's Pitlochry, and they absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. And Gary, director of golf up there, him and his members were just absolutely spot on, and couldn't do enough to make us feel welcome and share various things with our guests, and then ultimately up to the Highlands for 5 days, and you're doing the likes of Dornoch and Castle Stewart and Moray.
Dornoch's appearing every other episode here.
Oh, Big man. It's we've all played events up there with the Scottish amateurs, and you talk about Pete Whiteford. I remember playing Peter up there in the first round, and we're sharing digs together, and we're playing against each other in the singles, and everything's all rosy before you go out in the golf course for a full-on singles battle. Anyway, we can laugh about it now. I enjoyed my couple of days extra stayed, let's put it that way. So. But we had a good laugh about it, me and Pete, at that time, and we've had various experiences over the piece.
And you've got, you mentioned, I think you mentioned him earlier, he was at Midland College, Gary Dingwall up there as a head teaching professional too.
I caught Gary actually whilst I was up there, and he's doing great. But they've got a new clubhouse development underway, and there's a lot happening up there. But just golf up in the Highlands as a whole, I mean, you can rhyme off some incredible venues in Brora and Galsby and Fortrose and Rosemarkie, Tane, Skibo, Carnoustie, Dornoch with the two venues to the even Fortrose, Rosemarkie, Castle Stewart, both courses at Nairn, Moray. The list is endless. You could spend a week up there. But not only
the
that,
scenery as well. Like, one of the places I'd love to get to is Spey Valley. There's a course, and apparently the scenery is just stunning round it near Aviemore.
I can assure you the heather's good up there as well, because it's got plenty of my golf balls. So,
well, I can add to that, no problem. I can definitely help with that part.
It's free marketing as well, so it's all right. Someone will pick it up and get the logo. But no, it was great. We done various tours with the likes of Tomatin, with Stephen and his team up there. And then Leslie Mackay, regards to Highlands and Islands University and what they're doing with the golf management programme and the PGA. I mean, it's incredible what setup they've got there, and amazed at where some of these students are heading off to. One of the kids is away out to do a stint at LA Country Club with Rory, out there for their 4 or 5 months. Some are going out to Augusta, some have been at Loch Lomond, and just travelling the world. And Leslie, I've been fortunate to know Leslie for a long time, and she's so passionate towards giving people opportunities and allow them to grow as individuals. And they've got an incredible setup. So we actually took some of our, actually all our clients along to experience it, and they were blown away by it. So much so that they went back to the likes of Chicago and Florida and Nashville and been bumping their gums about University of Highlands and Islands and how their own home country clubs should get involved with that.
Awesome.
And it's only going to grow over time, definitely, through what I've seen personally, but also seeing how some of the students have grown. Actually, some of my own assistants came through the ranks of that offering as well, and it's only been going for something between 13 or 15 years. I mean, it's not particularly old for its offering, but it's definitely going to be a great story for many people that want to venture their journey into the world of golf and grow themselves, may it be in the UK or Europe or further afield. This game can take you anywhere, and certainly with the qualifications they're offering, it can open many doors.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you finished off, just circling back on the tour you just finished, you mentioned that it finished off near to your home. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
So en route back down from the Highlands, before we went to Ayrshire, it was a bit of a journey, and I thought what could be something different and take them to where golf started for me, and liaise with the members and the management at Ranfurly and raise an idea of bringing my guests along and experience it with a team match with similar-minded individuals, and then finishing off with a Ceilidh night, which, what Ceilidh nights can be like. It was absolutely brilliant. So from the welcome from the club management, Mark Smart and his team, to my fellow members, they showcased Ranfurly to what I know it is a very special venue, and those who have played it, I'm sure could echo that. certainly in summer months. You know, it's like in the West Coast during the winter. But anyway, that alone, we had a great fun game with whiskey tasting out the golf course, to Stuart Smith, head pro, doing some sessions out there, to a grand dinner afterwards, and we raised a glass to this wonderful game, and we then finished off with a big shindig with actually one of my old staff members from Loch Lomond, Ali McLeod, who's got his own Ceilidh band. Alan and his team came along and put a hell of a performance. And the good thing about it was, albeit my guests were a bit anxious as to what lay ahead, but they got stuck right in, and they absolutely loved it. And
Everybody
like
loves
many
a
of us,
Ceilidh, and you can't beat that.
well, they're black and blue the next day from bruises, but that's a sign of a good time, and it'll be something that lasts with them forevermore. And still, since they've been home, they've been talking about it. So, yeah, it was a great, something completely different, something off the track. But you know, these guys and girls can go and play any golf course in the world, and something to experience completely different at Ranfurly was quite unique, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And then just thinking about where you're at now, Iain, so with the experience you've had, you've now got another company going for yourself, which just sounds fantastic. As you reflect, what are the sort of lessons that people could learn from you? Maybe some of the pitfalls they could avoid, but you're taking that journey, going into PGA Pro, becoming a director of golf. What are some of the lessons you would have for sort of people that are looking to take that same path?
I'd always say to everyone, and I'm very fortunate that I still speak to a lot of assistants and those wishing to get involved in the game. I know those actually want to go over to college in the States, is chase your dream. If golf is what you want to do, go and grab it, because you've got one hell of a ride ahead of you. It's an incredible sport, incredible game. You meet incredible people, you share incredible stories. You've got various experiences. It's not always rosy, don't get me wrong, but the strong experiences outweigh the bad. And you know, don't be shy to ask a question. I learned a lesson very young, that never be shy in asking people about their own experiences and what they learnt. And I've always taken that to everything I've done through my career in golf, playing, management, changing my career path to start my own company. Never be shy to ask a question. And I've always went to those that have been there before me and asked them, it says, if you had a chance to do it again, what would you do differently? And it's amazing how honest people are with their own experiences. And if you can capture those experiences and put it into your own methods of life, then you won't go far wrong. And I'll continue to grow, I'll continue to enjoy life, I'll continue to see Lomond Golf Tours Scotland flourish, and share many a good time with my current clients, my future clients, and my fellow friends and PGA members, because there's this game just offers so much to us.
Absolutely, and thanks for sharing. I think that's really great practical advice for people too. A great insight to what you've been able to learn from. So just wrapping up here, Iain, conscious of your time, and thanks so much for coming on. What are the social media handles, or what's the website for Lomond Golf Tours?
Well, Roscoe, we've got our own website at lomondgolftours.com. We've also got our own LinkedIn page and Instagram. It gives you a feel, a personal feel to what we offer, and shares what our services are as a company. And I believe that those who look into that will capture something that appeals to them, and ultimately we can tailor something quite unique and special to make sure that their time with us in Scotland, in UK, or further afield is something that's going to last with them for many years to come.
Absolutely. So thanks for coming on, Iain. It's been really great hearing from you. Hopefully I'll get to see you soon, get a game of golf, But in the meantime, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Roscoe, and thanks again. Great seeing you, buddy, and I appreciate everything you've done.
No problem. Cheers.
Hope you enjoyed that one, folks, and thanks for listening again. In terms of follow-ups, please remember to like, share and subscribe to the podcast, and there'll be another episode out soon. Thank you.